Good morning and welcome to the Last Night's Game podcast. Excited to have you here today to join us to talk about athlete side hustles. Now, you may have your Etsy store, but these athletes they've gone a little bit above and beyond that. But here to join me to talk about that is my favorite co-host and my favorite brother, Scott. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me on. And a lot of these athletes have side hustles. They've got a lot of time off the court during the season, in the off season. So they're no different than most people who are looking for other things outside their current job to keep their mind and spirit going and make money. And we've got a lot of questions recently about some of the new positions we've been hearing about that athletes are taking. So excited to talk about these, especially during the dog days of summer.
Well, I want to ask you about one of your side hustles. So obviously we have this one, but you've picked up running and you just welcome back from South Dakota where you decided to go for a little adventure and a little running. So welcome back. How was it?
Well, it's great to be back. Very peaceful. It was nice weather. As you know, we live in Las Vegas and it's very hot here. So it was nice to get out and about. We hiked up Crazy Horse Memorial, which typically you cannot go to the top of. And it happens twice a year, big event in South Dakota. So it was very cool to do. Although I don't want to let too many people know about this and make it too crowded. Just between you and I, that happened.
That
Yeah.
was cool. I was like, we went obviously last year with the
Mhm.
family for our dad's birthday.
Yes.
South Dakota is beautiful. So also like little side note secret, it's a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it's beautiful, but don't go there.
Yeah, don't go there because Scott wants it all to himself.
Yes, yes. And the running side hustle does not make you any money. So
No,
just
not it
brings you
costs you money.
extreme joy and happiness.
I'm sure that's exactly what you're thinking on mile 7. And you're like, what the hell
Yes,
am I doing here?
correct.
Okay, well, since we covered your new side hustles, let's cover the newest side hustle to the market, and that is a GM of a college team. Now, why the heck, why do we have these now and why now?
Mhm.
And why are athletes stepping in and making this their job or
Yeah,
second job?
this is a brand new position that has recently come about. As you know, or may not know, we're in the NIL era where players are getting paid. Recruiting is crazy with transfer portals. You can transfer as much as you want. There's 2 times during the year in the transfer portal you can transfer. So coaches, as they were having to worry about recruiting their own players all season and recruiting new players, trying to figure out who's going where. And they're not supposed to handle the money, but I'm sure they're involved a little bit. So there's just too much for a regular coach to do. So now we have general managers in college sports for specific teams, like you have in the pros. Every professional team has a GM. And now, because of all this wild west, if you will, in college sports, we now have GMs to handle all this and recruit and basically just relationship build.
So just like a professional team, these
Yeah.
GMs are coming together and they're the
Mm,
ones handling the player operations, not the coaching, letting the coach do the coaching job.
yes.
They're handling sort of this operations side of it, recruiting, checking the transfer portal, who's available, who best supplements our team, et cetera, just like they would if it was a professional team.
Yes. And we saw many coaches, old school coaches, just retire because they couldn't handle it anymore. All
So
the
you
things
Nick
that were going
Saban.
on. Yes, Saban,
Yeah.
there's multiple guys that just left and went and took like a coordinator position in another team or in the pros. So they starting to bring in general managers, and we've got a few professional athletes who have decided to take on the role, for some of them for their alma mater and some for schools their kids play at.
Like who is
And
doing
so
this? I need to
the
understand.
really the first one to do it was Steph Curry of the Golden State Warriors. As we've talked about, he has a lot of side hustles in some of our
He
other
does.
episodes, from alcohol to golf to all kinds of things. And now he's stepping up for Davidson, where he went to college. It is a smaller school, so having him be in the profile of the public, playing in the NBA, is going to be massive for the school and the actual basketball team,
Recruiting.
basketball program. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I
So
saw.
he didn't come from one of these massive, blue chip schools. He's from Davidson, a small school. So having him on board is huge for them.
So He's co-general manager, so I'm assuming it's more of a recruiting tool
Yes,
where
more of a
someone else is
figurehead deal.
handling the transfer portal type stuff. But we're seeing Shaq is out there doing it. Mike Bibby, who used to play in the NBA as well, used to come in the Hard Rock Cafe in Phoenix where I worked all the time.
Yes.
But it's like you've got all these guys, and I would imagine most of them are more figurehead than they are hands-on, but and more of a recruiting tool. But is that an accurate thought?
Yeah, these there are general managers. These are probably more of like a figurehead, if you will. Like if you want to recruit someone or get someone to invest in the program, give you money for the program, you're gonna call Shaq. And he went to LSU, but he's the GM, co-GM at Sacramento State, where Mike Bibby is head coach, because his son's playing there. So,
Ah, that makes more sense.
and
Okay.
he
I was trying to figure out the
previously owned,
connection.
yeah, he previously owned a part of the Sacramento Kings, so he's got this weird Sacramento connection. Even though the Lakers dominated Sacramento when they played and kind of ruined their chances of ever winning a championship. So
Sad.
now he's back to help the community and their school, and I mean that's going to be big for Sacramento State.
I mean, absolutely, especially like you said, these smaller schools that you're seeing them plug into.
Mhm.
And doesn't is Shaq who is Shaq? He has a deal with Adidas. Is he some like
Reebok, he's Reebok.
Reebok? Okay,
Yes. So
he's
I'm
like
sure
the
there'll be he's got
he's doing something with them.
some kind of position with Reebok as well. I think president of basketball operations or
That's
something.
it. That's it. And there's a couple other people that I think are doing the same thing. Like that's become a thing too, right? Of like
Yeah,
we used to hire when I was in baseball, we would hire former players because they need health insurance and all those
yeah,
things. They might be okay on money, but they need some of those operational things that you and I need too. And they would hire them as like a special assistant to the GM or
yes.
something like that. That feels like the same role ish to me.
Yeah, I don't think that Shaq's rolling into Reebok headquarters in a cubicle for 40 hours a week. No.
No,
So, yeah, and I think Allen Iverson has one of those positions as well.
that's who it is. Allen Iverson was the other
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I don't think he's in a cubicle either. So,
No, no,
but
I don't think so.
they're doing more than just with their name alone and likeness. Yeah, and we even had famous NBA insider, not necessarily an athlete, Adrian Wojnarowski, he would break all the NBA news, legend for
He's a
breaking NBA
reporter.
news. Yeah, he just walked away from that and he went back to St. Bonaventure's alma mater just to be a GM. So he walked away from a pretty lucrative job at ESPN just to go back and get St. Bonaventure back on the map.
It's probably a quality life thing. Imagine how
Yeah,
much your phone rings and how much your wife or your kids hate that you're like every single day, you're like, oh crap, so and so's being traded. I gotta go. I don't care if it's
yeah.
2 a.m., it's middle of graduation. Like, I gotta go break this news.
Yeah, he's
But
got
validate the news
some
before I break
crazy
it.
stories. Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
crazy stories about just like he has no holidays, like he can't do anything. So quality of life, maybe for St. Bonaventure. So keep your eyes open for that one. Yeah, it's interesting to see what has spawned from NIL and what different roles and all
What's
those
still
kinds of
shifting?
positions. Yes, and we still have no idea.
No, absolutely not.
And so
It's
we're
still a wild
just
west.
yes.
So I want to, since most people are probably listening to this in the morning,
Hmm.
let's talk a little bit about coffee. I love this Jimmy Butler coffee. First of all,
I
I need to know why it's called Big Face Coffee. Jimmy
think
Butler's the basketball player, first of all.
Jimmy Butler's an NBA player. This first started back in the bubble of 2020
Okay,
when they were all locked in and he was started making coffee and charging his teammates absorbent prices for it,
that's
and
what it
then
does.
the brand just grew from there, and I think the big face is probably just because of his face.
I think it's like a nickname of some sort, is it not? Or
Yeah,
like
I believe
that's,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, so it started in 2020, as we said, and he just kept growing the brand and wearing shirts before games and like the tunnel walk and things like that. So he did end up eventually opening a brick and mortar store in Miami in
Okay,
December. So he made it official. It's a real deal. It's a coffee aficionado place, if you will.
interesting. They
And
probably
then
don't have decaf.
they they may not, they may, but the problem is that he forced a trade out of Miami after he opened that. So now he's got a brick and mortar coffee shop in Miami. He does not
Does not
play
play
there.
there. And they might not like it. Remind me where he went.
So he was traded to the Golden State Warriors.
That's right. Okay.
So
That's right.
now I'm sure somewhere in San Francisco there will be a Big Head Coffee at some
Big
point.
face. Big
Big
face.
Face, excuse me.
Big
I
face.
apologize for the disrespect.
Not
big
confused
face.
with the
Yeah,
fat head sticker. Aren't those the stickers that you put up called fat
correct.
head?
Yeah, so
Not to be
he's
confused with those.
expanding. Everyone needs caffeine, so Jimmy's there, and I think he makes most of his profit off his teammates, most likely,
That
overcharging them for.
makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. So
That makes sense. Now, the one I want to dive into, because I started, you put this in the notes, and then I went down a rabbit hole of children's books.
yes.
So, I mean, we know Jimmy Fallon has had a line of children's books. It's a celebrity
Mhm.
thing to do, right? To write a children's book. It's kind of
Yes.
the basic thing to do as a celebrity. Some of these I was cracking up because I found a website that critiqued all of them
Okay.
and things.
I'm interested to see. I didn't do a deep dive like you, but
People like Meta World Peace, who has had some
stuff.
stuff off the court that was maybe not so ideal, have children's books. So if you're interested in writing a children's book, there's apparently no criteria of how
Right.
you behave or have behaved in the past. But I know someone who behaves well. Jason Tatum has a new one out.
Yes, and he's gotten into the children's book game. As you know, his son Deuce is a major presence around the Celtics, around the court. He's been his entire life. He's been just around basketball. So although he's getting to not be a child anymore. I think he's 6 or 7 now. So
Yeah,
he's really
they get more fun that way though. But they're not
more
as cute,
fun.
no
Yeah,
offense.
but they're probably not reading as many kids' books. But yeah, he decided to jump into the kids' book game and release his own to inspire and show Deuce that anything can happen and anything can be done if you put your mind to it.
True. I think we've done if you have a high enough profile, you can sell children's books. The
Yes,
other one that I thought you might enjoy, Julian Edelman, who used to play for the Patriots,
yes.
wide receiver. Not a big guy.
Mm-mm.
He is a three-time children's book author, but his series Flying High features a squirrel named Jules who dreams of playing football.
So
I'm picturing Elf.
yes,
Asparagus are self-conscious about how their pee smells. This one's like, oh, a squirrel is a little less offensive than a mouse,
yes, and it's
but not quite as
Jules.
bad. Jules.
This is very inspirational for not only children but the squirrel community as well.
That's true. The squirrels do a lot of reading. I hear. They check out a
Yes,
lot of
and
books.
a lot of them have aspirations. That's why you see a lot of them running on the field during games. They read
It's
Julian
true.
Edelman's book and they want to get part of the action, but
This is true.
some
The
people
other
are
one I
color
was
dreams.
the other one I was laughing at that I was telling you about before we hopped on is Mia Hamm, longtime U.S.
Mhm.
women's national team soccer player. She's written at least two, but the critique I saw was the second book was probably a little less motivating than the first because the description includes a lesson in teamwork for soccer moms.
Yes,
It's like
which
that probably went
yeah,
over real well.
there's probably some soccer moms that need teamwork lessons, I'm
That's
guessing.
probably true.
So,
Yeah, when I sign the tiny human up for sports, I have to
yes.
check a box that says I will, like, essentially, I will behave myself and I will report anyone else who's not behaving themselves. So I have to check a box that says that when I sign the paperwork.
So they want you to snitch.
Basically, they want me to
Yeah.
snitch and they also want me to behave myself, which is fine.
Boo.
I'm okay with that.
Party
My
poopers.
child is probably not going to be a professional athlete, nor most of the children that he plays. So
That's fine.
let's just go have a good time.
Yeah, let's just enjoy them being children and them enjoying books and
Which,
running around getting energy out.
yeah, but there's one thing that my child does, the tiny human does like pizza.
Pizza. Pizza's a
And
big deal.
apparently, there's some athletes with an appetite for pizza places. Most notably, um, LeBron James. We haven't brought him up yet, even though he's an investor in a tequila company as well.
Yes.
But he's in Blaze Pizza. We could talk about Shaq, because we already talked about this before we hopped on. Shaq could have his
Yeah.
whole entire own episode, but Shaq is definitely all in on Papa John's.
He is. He is in the commercials. He works the kitchen in the commercials. Yeah. He even has his own pizza, the
Shaqaroni.
Shaqaroni. I don't know if you've had it. It's Shaqalicious. Fit for someone who's over 7 feet and 300 plus pounds. So
I feel like the Manning brothers used to be part of Papa
uh,
John's too.
Peyton's got a ton. I think he's reportedly like 25 in Denver. If you're ordering pizza in Denver, it's most likely coming from Peyton Manning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
So
these are technically like investments, but they definitely
yes,
are a side hustle. But I mean, Shaq's in Ring Doorbell. He's in car washes. Like he's in, I feel like there's a burger place. I
Carnival,
can't remember which one, but
Carnival
yes.
Cruises,
Carnival. Oh, Carnival. And he has his own, what's the chicken place? Shaq's Chicken Shack?
big chicken.
Big Chicken. Okay.
Yes, obviously
So there's that
for big
too.
big chicken for Big Shaq. Yeah,
Yeah.
we could do an hour of just things that he's invested in.
But I mean, it's so smart to see of how you keep your mind fresh and stay relevant. And, everybody has a podcast.
Yes,
Every athlete has a podcast. And so it's cool to see that he's like, I don't need a podcast. First of all, that
he
would
has
probably be
he has
very,
one too,
does
but
he?
I think that's just when he's bored, probably.
I was gonna say that sounds dangerous to me, like him and Charles
Yeah.
Barkley having a podcast. But then again, they have a TV show inside the
So
NBA.
yeah, they put
So
him on TV, and that's basically the original of the podcast. They just say
yeah,
whatever they want, and no one cares what they say. There's no rules when they get on there, so yeah, we're not. He has no limit on expressing himself in any
no,
facet. Yeah.
no. Now, it's funny, we were talking ahead of this, and we'll fill you all in. Is like, we're going to do a whole separate episode on athletes who own sports teams because that has become
Yes.
so prevalent that there's not enough time to cover some of these fun things as well as the team ownership. So we'll do that one next. But as we get closer toward the end, I want to make sure that we get in Tom Brady, who has become a staple in Las Vegas and is basically, maybe he'll run for mayor next, but he is bringing not a Hall of Fame. What do we call it? A Hall of Excellence
Hall of Excellence,
to
yes.
the Fountain Blue in Vegas.
Yes, Hall of Excellence is only Tom can produce excellence.
Hmm.
He's, as you mentioned, he's kind of become Mr. Vegas in some odd way. He's got ownership in the Las Vegas Aces, and he also got approved last year for minority ownership in the Raiders. So he's really dug himself in here. Remember, we did see him at the opening of the
I
Fountain
was gonna say
Blue.
we saw him at the Fountain Blue opening. Yes,
So he's got some
and he
major
says,
connections here in Vegas now,
"Yep,
and the Hall of Excellence is opening this summer. And it's not a Hall of Fame per se, but it's going to be like a collection of sports memorabilia and memorabilia from entertainment as well. So it's more of
okay."
like a,
It's
a
Vegas meets football or
and
sports.
sports, yes, all kinds of
Okay,
sports. They're gonna have all different kinds of athletes with famous jerseys and things like that for people to go see. And what better
cool.
place to go to Vegas? I mean, you have so many events here. You have NBA Summer League, you have football, basketball,
Super Bowls,
Super
yeah,
Bowls. So
F1.
it's a good place to have everything in one spot.
That'll be cool. Well, we have to make sure we go check that out.
Yes. So next time you come in, we'll go and we'll give a review of excellence.
We'll give a behind the scenes tour of
Excellence.
the Hall of Excellence. Hopefully, it's
Yes.
excellent.
Yes. And if Tom wants to run for mayor, you can do that too. I'm sure.
I wouldn't be surprised, but that sounds like it'll tie him down because he's gonna be gone a lot for a broadcasting
Yeah.
career. I mean, that's technically a side hustle too that we didn't even
True.
think about, right? These
Yes.
athletes with broadcasting careers, Brady, Tony Romo. You've got it in
Brett
baseball. You
Olson.
have it in basketball. Richard Jefferson. And just watched him on the NBA Finals not that long ago.
Yes. Yeah, that's one we didn't even plan on. But yeah, they've done a good job of. They even have like universities and they give these players like crash courses as they're at while they play. So when they get out of playing, they have something else to do and probably make more money doing that than they would playing. Like Tony Romo's made more money doing this than he ever did playing. Same
I
with Greg
think the same
Olson.
for
Yeah.
I think Tom Brady, though, the same, like his salary,
Yes.
like salary, we're not talking about
Mm.
endorsements or anything else and side hustles, but salary wise, his Fox deal is worth as much as he made on the field.
Yeah. Tom never took really big deals when he played. So yeah, he's making far more money just broadcasting. So it's good for them that it doesn't involve getting hit or tackled or punched or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I think it's the NFL that has sort of that. I can't remember what they called it. Like, we're going to call it like broadcaster university.
I think it's a boot camp or
It's like
yeah.
yep, and it's like 2 or 3 days, and they take them
Yeah.
through radio, they take them through TV, and it allows them to vet people to see who's even worth it, right? Because it wasn't that long ago. Like, was John Madden sort of the first player gone broadcaster,
Yeah. John was that's was such
or
a
he was a
trailblazer.
coach?
He's a trailblazer for sure. Like that was and now he's obviously you've seen what he's become, but at the time it was unheard of. Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that these guys are taking these jobs is it's new, but not so new.
Mhm.
But they're career athletes, but they give such a great insight. I remember when Mark Grace became a broadcaster for
Yeah.
the Diamondbacks, and like what I loved listening to him talk about the game because baseball is so much slower too.
Yes.
And so it's like, hey, this is what this play is, and this is why you do this, and this is why this
Mhm.
person moves here. Like the explanation of the game was so interesting in the fact that like it helped you make sense of especially like a game
What's
like
going
baseball
on?
that seems
Yeah.
slower, but it's not slow if you know what's going on because people are always moving. There's always plays. They're always shifting. There's always
Yes.
things happening. And so he gave that insight. I always thought that was so interesting.
Yeah, and if just because you play sports doesn't mean you can talk about sports. So if you find
No.
something that can break it down, like I think Greg Olson's pretty incredible doing with
Yeah,
football. So if
he
you can do
is.
that, it's very helpful to the viewers. And also, don't forget we have Michael Jordan coming on to when NBC gets the NBA broadcasting rights. He's going to be coming
Really
on and doing stuff for them as well.
interesting. I don't think I knew
Someone who's
that.
got a lot of side hustles as well.
He does have a lot of side hustles, and some of those side hustles might be slightly illegal betting, but that's fine.
That's off the books. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Shoes, tequila, NASCAR, fishing, you name it, he's in it. So
I think he owns some esports teams. So you'll laugh at this, but as we wrap this up, the other day, I bought these Jordans that were on sale, like super, like
mhm,
$30 for the tiny human. And I said something, and we were talking about Michael Jordan. And
yeah,
so, and Reagan, my husband, goes, do you know who Michael Jordan is? And he's like, yeah, the guy on my shoes. And I was like,
yeah.
oh, I have failed.
I mean, yeah, we've entered a generation that we grew up watching him play, which these kids have no clue. They just a shoe guy,
Yeah,
or
he's
if
the shoe guy.
you're a
Yeah,
shoe guy.
exactly. Even though we have a Michael Jordan children's book that talks about who Michael Jordan is,
Yes,
we've left that out. And he's the shoe guy.
that's fine for now. That's
So
what
I
Michael
be
wants.
once again made a lot of money there too.
Yes,
Well, is there anybody you want to wrap us up? Or a little bit over our normal time? Is there anybody you want to add in before we go?
I think we've hit a lot of them, and we'll do a separate one on sports teams, which could also be like 2 hours. So stay
That's
tuned.
exactly it. So buckle up for that one, put on your helmet. But thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Scott, for
Thank
being
you.
here. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be with us every week. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you.